It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories. Marshall fire victims looking for relief.
We are in a crisis. We are trying to stabilize our lives and come back.
Recovery efforts reaching a boiling point as city codes clash with the cost of rebuilding.
These codes just make it more expensive.
Debris removal postponed for thousands of homes, only adding to the strain.
The first step is the biggest hurdle.
Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin escalating attacks on Ukraine.
We're fighting just for our land and for our freedom.
Tonight, the U.S. announcing new bans against Russian planes.
Plus, Major League Baseball strikes out, now canceling the first games of the season.
The clubs and our owners fully understand just how important it is to our millions of fans. We want an agreement with the Players Association as quickly as possible.
It has now been more than 8 weeks since the Marshall Fire devastated Boulder County. More than 1,000 homes were destroyed, and so many families are still living in temporary homes, just waiting to rebuild.
For those in Louisville, climate goals are clashing with the economic reality.
Good evening and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter.
I'm Danny New. Marshall fire victims have enough on their plate, so understandably they don't want new green building code requirements adding to their expenses.
Tonight, residents are weighing in during a virtual town hall meeting. Denver 7 CB Cotton joins us live in Louisville. CB, what are you hearing?
Danny, Jessica, as you said, tonight's meeting is virtual and public comment is well underway. Each person has 3 minutes to share their thoughts or viewpoints on the city's green energy efficient codes. Now, while the meeting is virtual tonight, that didn't stop people from coming here to City Hall, leaving signs advocating for their viewpoint. This one here behind me specifically is from someone who wants the city's codes to be repealed. But of course, there are some who want the green energy efficient codes to be kept. Louisville city councilors tell me that people on both sides of this matter have been flooding their inboxes with messages about this. So these codes attempt to make all new home construction in Louisville with a net zero carbon footprint. What does that mean? That just means fewer greenhouse gas emissions. How is this done? Well, builders have to install things like high efficiency windows, insulation, and siding. The codes also require residents to use either solar panels or a solar farm when rebuilding. Some residents say these things are too costly right now, and others say it's necessary to prevent more catastrophic fires in the future. Tonight, city councilors could vote to repeal, modify, or keep these codes. We spoke with one resident as she sifted through the rubble of her burned home, and she told us she's honestly too stressed to have a strong opinion about this matter, and she thinks others probably feel the same way.
I want all of us as human beings to do more and to do what we can do. But with having to start over without having that preparation of knowing that we were going to build with a requirement of green builds, it makes it just harder to even know what we can do moving forward.
Again, the public comment portion of tonight's virtual meeting is well underway, and we're going to be monitoring things all night, and we'll bring you updates on air and online. I should also note the town of Superior amended its green energy efficient building codes last night to make an exception for Marshall fire victims. Reporting from downtown Louisville tonight, I'm CB Cotton, Denver 7.
Thank you, CB. And continuing coverage, Boulder County promised free debris removal would start today for Marshall fire victims. However, that has actually been pushed back at least 2 weeks because of appeals of the contract and then lack of organization.
Just another roadblock for these folks. Denver 7's Russell Haythorne reports for victims, this is just another frustrating setback for rebuilding.
We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Inside the burn scar, there's still a lot of pain.
Yep, somebody with all their possessions and memories and everything that goes into a home that makes it a home.
And yet, as Brandon Bauman with Grand Lake Excavation shows us, there's also something very therapeutic about a fresh canvas for rebuilding.
The first step is the biggest hurdle. We're in a tight-knit community and neighbors know each other, and just the inspiration that they see when they see that things are moving forward.
Some fire victims moving forward on their own. Several lots cleared, hazardous debris loaded into special plastic containers, fresh soil on its way in.
If you can submit the right application and the right documents, then you should be approved and get these people moving forward to the next step.
Unfortunately, while some are forging ahead at their own expense, the county's promise to start its free debris removal by today clearly not happening, held up by delays, appeals, and an overall lack of organization, according to some.
We've just been stuck sort of in neutral for about 2 months.
Superior Town Trustee Neil Shah says coordination needs to improve for the sake of healing.
Speed is of the essence. We're starting to feel a little bit more excited. We've definitely had some massive headwinds. Debris removal was the first step. Now it's about finding home builders.
Good news for those inching closer to construction.
It does look awesome. It's exciting.
As companies like Brandon's help to keep the ball rolling.
A lot of friends and family lost their homes, and so it's hard. I'm happy to help. I love it. It's fantastic, and the people that we've met, I can't believe how good of spirits they're in.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Thank you, Russell. And tomorrow is the deadline for Marshall Fire victims to apply for disaster assistance loans through FEMA and the Small Business Administration. And we should note that this also includes those whose homes were damaged by the wind. If you still need to apply, you can call the number on your screen or go to disasterassistance.gov.
Also tonight, President Biden delivering his first State of the Union address, a delicate balancing act between domestic issues like the economy, the pandemic, and international crisis. The president acknowledged the pain Americans are feeling while laying out a path forward.
The new economic vision for America. Invest in America. Educate Americans. Grow the workforce. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because we know. Because we know. Because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well.
Part of those challenges, high gas prices and historic inflation, have tanked the president's poll numbers. According to the latest numbers from 538, 41% of Americans approve of the president's job, while 54% disapprove.
And the Ukrainian crisis has naturally shifted the tone of President Biden's speech tonight. Russia's war rages on in Ukraine, continuing to test Biden's foreign policy decisions and American leadership on the world stage. Tonight, the president announced that the U.S. is joining Canada and the European Union in closing airspace to Russian planes. He also touted his administration's work, leading allies in a coordinated effort to push back against Russian aggression.
He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin.
Of course, we've been following President Biden's State of the Union address closely, and we'll have full team coverage and analysis of President Biden's speech coming up on Denver 7 News at 10.
Today, Ukrainian President Zelensky spoke with President Biden for about 30 minutes to discuss defensive help and anti-Russia sanctions. Ukrainian officials say Russia is escalating attacks in the air and targeting civilian areas. President Zelensky also spoke to the European Union today and brought his English translator to tears.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom, despite the fact that all large cities of our country are now blocked. Nobody is going to enter and intervene with our freedom.
President Zelensky receiving a standing ovation after his speech. Meanwhile, at the UN, a large group walked out of a human rights conference before Russia's foreign minister spoke today. The United Nations says over 100 people in Ukraine have been killed, but that number is feared higher, even more injured, and more than 670,000 have fled the country.
Now for an update on a story we brought you last night. Aurora is moving forward with a plan to ban outdoor camping in the city. This would allow Aurora police to remove homeless encampments following a 72-hour notice. Then those who don't move could be cited or arrested. However, the city must ensure it has enough shelter space available before moving someone. And since last year, Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman has been pushing for the ban, which is pretty similar to Denver's. It originally failed, but a newly conservative majority on city council gives it much better odds to pass. But on the other side, opponents argue the ban is unethical and say the city doesn't have the resources that would need to be devoted for its enforcement.
Coming up on Denver 7 News at 8. No deal. The MLB's season is officially shortened.
We're not going to be able to play the first 2 series of the regular season, and those games are officially canceled.
The Rockies' home opener is still a go, but holding on by a thread.
Concern about our fans is at the very top of our consideration list.
A bright neighborhood can't escape a sinking feeling.
This really is an unforeseen event.
It's driving me crazy.
Temperatures climb to the upper 60s and 70s over the plains with upper 40s into the mountains. A very warm and dry weather pattern the next couple of days, but snow returns to the metro. More on that still to come.
Plus, elephants at the Denver Zoo show us how to strike a pose.
There he goes.
No,
Belly on the ground.
Little downward elephant.
Here we go. Elephant down.